Welcome to the Dream Huge podcast, where we'll talk with real estate investors, entrepreneurs, business leaders, athletes, and more to inspire you with their success stories so you can work hard, never give up, and dream huge. And now, let's start the show.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Dream Huge podcast. Man, we're excited to be here today, folks. We love sharing success stories from huge dreamers, folks in the real estate business, entrepreneurs, movers, shakers, influencers, and more. And hopefully these stories will help to motivate and inspire you to dream huge. And today we are joined by my special co-host, JP43, John Pavlansky. What is up, JP?
Pete, what is going on, man? We are going to be talking some motivated mindset today. We're going to be diving deep, learning about a pretty interesting guy. So I am very, very excited to talk with our guest today. I think it's going to be a whole hell of a good podcast. So got one question, though. Pete, how are you doing, my man?
I'm outstanding as always, baby. I'm ready to share some stories to motivate and inspire others. We have the famous Jason Lamar. You can find him at the Jason Lamar on Instagram. He's got over 50,000 followers on Instagram alone, folks. So he is an online influencer. He specializes in personal development. He specializes in the mindset portion of personal development, but also training, nutrition, coaching, you name it. This guy is a go-getter, and he is here to help improve lives everywhere. So Jason Lamar, my man, how you doing today?
I am great. How about yourselves? And I appreciate the intro, by the way.
Yeah, thank you, man. No, thank you. We are great as well. So let's dive right into it, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do.
Oh, man, let's see. I'm from California originally, probably halfway the South. I lived in Charlotte for about 11 years. I've done a little bit of everything, a little bit in the less than legal side when I was younger, transitioned over to some more up and up sales, including, you said real estate. I've done some wholesaling, some house flipping. So I've experienced there. And as of right now, I do coaching full time, mindset, fitness, nutrition, kind of helping people get their life back on track and sharing some of the strategies, perspectives, and thoughts that have helped me come from being homeless to where I am now.
Man, so my man has gone from dealing and slanging drugs to dealing and slanging houses, and from there to dealing and slanging mindset and helping others. So how do you get into the personal development space? What brought you there? How did you get started in that?
So I spent several years doing a lot of different things, all really sales oriented, but a lot of different things. And I just progressively came up from being, I mentioned briefly, homeless to having goals of, at one point in time, my entire goal was to have my own place, have my own car, just be able to eat whenever it is that I want to and not worry about bills. And I thought that was what was going to make me happy. So I accomplished that goal, and I still felt like something was missing. And then I decided once I was making a certain amount of money, or I could not work for somebody else and just primarily work from my own house, I would be happy. And then I got there and I wasn't. And one time I took a look back and realized the common denominator amongst all of those things was me, myself. So I realized I must not be good with me, and that's why I'm not good with anything that I'm doing. So I really dived into working on myself and bringing up all the areas that I was lacking in.
Okay. Yep. Well, dive into some of those areas maybe real quick. What did you figure out that you were lacking, and what things did you do to change that?
Yeah. So looking back, I realized that a lot of the things that I did when I was younger was kind of seeking the validation of others. Like I mentioned previously, that I was involved in some less than legal activity, allegedly. But all of that was just to really, more so than being about money or anything like that, was just to be accepted by the people that I was around. I just wanted to be a part of something, and I didn't really care how I did it. So I think that I never really took the time to work on who it was that I was, and that's why I needed the approval of others, and that never changed as I was going about life. That was the one thing that I never really took the time to bring up. So I was always in whatever field that I was in, whether I was doing that, whether I was selling firearms, whether I was personal training, whether I was selling gym memberships, whether I was doing wholesaling, house flipping, whatever, it was always try to get the approval of people around me. Like more so I was looking for, oh, you're really good at this, or you're really good at talking to people, you're really good at sales, you're making a lot of money this month, whatever the case may be. And I was never really doing anything for me because I wasn't good with myself and who I was.
Do you find that a lot of your clients come from that same path?
In what way?
That they're coming to you and they're maybe they're trying to please everybody else, and they're trying to do things that that they think people want them to do, and they're not having enough self-reflection and really focusing on their strengths.
I think that is a problem that a large majority of people suffer from if they're truly honest with themselves. Like there are very few people who are truly confident with who they are and okay with being themselves. And a lot of people suffer from needing approval and or validation from other people. And that's why they're afraid to say their own stuff, to live how they want to live, to think what they want to think, to do the things that they want to do. Like I talk to so many people who've dedicated their life to one thing, or they ignore hobbies that they might be interested in because they're worried about what someone else might say about it.
Yeah. That's interesting stuff. Shifting gears a little bit here, how does one go about, let's say, you've really taken off, especially, on Instagram. How would you coach someone that was looking to get into the coaching business and help others, and then also, grow their social media platform and monetize that? If you have a passion for helping others, hey, let's be honest, we all got to feed our family. We all got to put food on the table. So if you have a passion for helping others, how do you go about monetizing that and creating a brand, and then using that brand to grow on social media?
So a lot of people ask me about social media growth stuff, and if I'm being honest, I have no idea about any of that. I don't know how any of that works. My thing from the very beginning is I kind of just put up videos. I'm not really familiar with how the trending audios or some people do like the little looping things or all of the view engagement strategies. I don't know anything about that. A lot of people would ask me what my strategy is for, like, do you do hooks or whatever at the beginning of the video, or what's your strategy for video layout? Like, I just say the things that I want to say in the way that I want to say them. And honestly, I think that's what resonates with people more so than anything, is that I don't have a specific strategy for it. I think that being authentic and being yourself will stand out above the rest of everyone else who's just trying to get people to look at them. So they're doing what they think people will look at. And I think that comes through. I see people's videos sometimes. It's like, I don't know that you really think this. I don't know that you really believe this, but I think that this is what you're saying because you feel like people will watch you say it, excuse me. So I think authenticity is going to be the most important thing for that. But I'm far from a brand strategist or anything along those lines. If you're looking for someone to help you get started in the online world, I'm probably the last person who's equipped to tell you how to do that.
Jason said, I just talk my mind and people like it, man. That's it.
Yeah, that's really my strategy there.
Here's the thing, though. That in itself is a tremendous strategy. And the very first part of that answer, he says, I just put up videos. That's the startup. That's the half of it. Just showing up and putting up the content and being a creator and not a consumer. So many people will sit there and consume all damn day and never even think about creating. So first, step one is be a creator. And like you said, step two is be authentic.
Yeah, and I think that's a great strategy for any area in life. Is a lot of people get things very overcomplicated, and just to show up every single day will put you miles ahead of everybody else. I've made a video before about how they don't teach you really the most useful things in school, but one of the most useful things that you will ever learn from school is one of the things that everybody makes fun of, and that's a perfect attendance award, because there's so much value to just showing up to something every single day, no matter what. Like, you're sick. Okay, so what? Some people are sick. Show up anyway and do what it is that you need to do. And you will already right there be in such a small percentage of people that you will have such a head start on them that there's very few things that you can't do if you're just willing to pop up every single day and do it. Like, there's people in the gym who show up every single day with no real idea of any sort of mechanics of movements or good periodization or good exercise plans, who are in shape simply because every single day they show up with the intention to work hard.
That's it, man. Jason, did you have perfect attendance coming up?
No. Maybe a year or two in elementary school. I did good in school in elementary school, but middle school I kind of fell off a little bit.
No doubt.
I love it. Jason,
That's
what do you think? And I know we kind of touched on a little bit of it already, maybe, but what do you think is like some of the mass problems with society right now and the way that we think as general human beings.
A lack of accountability is a huge thing. Like there's such a huge, I don't want to say push, but a desire for everybody to find these things to blame their problems on. And whether it be the structures of society or the government or their skin color or their height or their childhood or their upbringing or whatever the case may be, people just want to assign their problems out to everyone but themselves. And what they don't realize that when they're doing that is they're also giving away their power to all of these other things. If it's your parents' fault because they raised you wrong, then there's nothing you could do about that. They act like these are just immutable facts about them, or especially the race, the gender, the height thing, something like that. There's a lot of people who said they can't get ahead in the world because of these certain characteristics. And even if that's true on some level, it doesn't really help you to think that, because if you go into an interview and you're thinking, well, nobody hired me because I'm black or because I'm Hispanic or because I'm a woman, then there's nothing that you're going to do to better yourself. So the best perspective in any scenario that you're in is, what role did I play in this and what can I do better? Because even if you think it's not because of your race, there's people who are all races who have jobs. So clearly they're doing something that you're not. They're good enough at whatever it was that they were doing that people were willing to overlook that if that was an issue for them. So if you just take our responsibility and work more so on becoming undeniable in whatever that you are trying to do, rather than trying to blame everybody else for why you're not where you want to be, you will go much farther.
Woo! Woo! That's what's wrong with people today, right there. The Jason Lamar just broke it down for us. All right, yeah, control the controllables. Control what you can control, and go all in on those things that you can control. Everything else is going to have to find its place, but I know what I can control, and I'm all in on all of that.
That's the only thing that'll ever matter. Is it doesn't matter what you can't do. All that matters is what you can do. So you're not 6'4", fine. You're never going to be 6'4", and whining about that isn't going to help you. All you could do is be the best, whatever other height you are, person that you could be, and compensate for that, so nobody cares about your height.
I love it. I love it, and I'm laughing about it because it's like when I first started to think that way too, when I started to hold myself accountable and responsible for every single thing that happened in my life, whether I knew it was my responsibility or not, and I started to say, what could I have done better? What could I have done different? How could I have changed this outcome? So many things around me started to change, because I wasn't pointing fingers. I wasn't pointing blame. It was all on me no matter what. And that you just hold yourself to a different standard, and your mind is so much more educated, I guess, or powerful than everybody else when you start to think that way. It's insane.
Yeah, exactly what you said. There's so much power in that perspective, because the other option is that you're just walking around the world just a victim to all these random circumstances. And that's how people get so down on themselves and woe is me and this happens and I can't catch a break, because they're unwilling to look and see what it is that they did. I mean, even if you get a flat tire, you could look and say, okay, well, if I was driving in the other lane, I wouldn't have gotten this flat tire. If I was paying more attention to the road, whatever the case may be, even if it's not something that's directly your fault, it doesn't help you to think that it just happened to you.
100%. I love it.
Hey, Jason, how do you hope to inspire others with your story?
I think the biggest thing that I want people to take away from the stuff that I say is that you have absolute control over your mind, and because of that, you have absolute control over your life. And it doesn't really matter where you've come from or what you've done, because functionally the past might as well have never happened. All you really have is the moment that you're in now. And if you're willing to realize that and make the most of the moment that you're in now, you can go wherever it is that you want to go.
Absolutely. And for folks interested in learning more about your coaching, about your mindset coaching, how do they go about that, and what does that look like?
Oh, it's simple. Simple process. I don't have any fancy sales pages or anything like that. Just Instagram, the Jason Lamar, like you said. Shoot me a DM, and whatever it is that you want to know, we'll go into it from there and see what program will work best for you based on your goals and where you're at now.
Love it. Let's. I know we've touched on a little bit of it already, but let's dive back a little bit deeper. And you don't have to go into details. Like anything you don't want to share, don't share it, man. But like, give us a quick timeline of what this looked like. Like out of high school, what was it? Where were you at next? Did you think about going to college? Kind of give us the timeline from there.
Yeah, so I graduated high school, 2006, barely. I graduated as quite honestly, a condition of my probation at the time was I had to graduate. So I got all my teachers to give me all of the work that I had missed and let me make that up. So much love to them for that. But I graduated 2006. The day after I graduated high school, I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. I was in Southern California at the time. So packed up and moved across the country. And from there, well, if we go back to that real quick, I said I was on probation at the time. One of my conditions of my probation was that I had to live with my parents. So my dad had gotten a job in the East Coast, and I'm almost 100% certain the reason that he went out there is to get me away from California, doing California things with California people. So, of course, when I got to Charlotte, I immediately found people in Charlotte to do dumb shit with, and continued on the same path, but different people. It worked out because I wasn't as involved. I was a new person out there, and from there, I think Charlotte, I had a job in California a little bit, but I got my first real job in Charlotte. And I kind of worked on transitioning to trying to do legitimate up and up stuff and kind of just went from there. So I went from a minimum wage job to a slightly less minimum wage job to I was working at Pizza Hut, and it's technically a minimum wage, but that was the most money I was ever making at the time because I was getting tips. I was a delivery driver. I was like, oh, this is amazing. I could do this. And then around there, I was 2 years and some change. Around that is where I really started to try to get my life together, cut back on the amount of weed that I was smoking, and got promoted there. And I kind of just worked my way up and up from there.
Gotcha. So a question I like to ask people, I had a conversation with another guy that's similar. Dude, when I was younger, and I've got a long way to go. I'm only 23, but when I was in middle school, high school, I was just doing dumb shit too. I mean, just
Yep.
to put it blatantly. But I always had, and I just was talking to one of my buddies about this, I always had kind of that voice in the back of my head, dude, this is not you. This is not you. This is not you. You're built for something different. You're built for something better, et cetera, et cetera. I wanted to ask you, did you always have that kind of mind in the back of your head where you knew you were still a much brighter and sharper dude than maybe you were acting?
Yes, and that is a great question. Everything that I've ever done, I was always in the back of my mind, man, why is it that you were really doing this? But again, like I said at the time, I wanted to fit in. But throughout my whole life, I always had people tell me that I had so much potential, or I was so smart, or whatever the case may be. And that was always kind of in the back of my mind, is what I'm doing right now fulfilling my potential? And if not, when will my potential be fulfilled? So there was a period when I was kind of just waiting around for that to happen because I hadn't really taken the responsibility to say, okay, I have to go out and chase this and make this happen. It's not something that's just going to unfold for me, which is a thing that people seem to think, their life is just going to get back on track. Not they're the ones who have to put it back on track. So it took me a while to realize that if I wanted to fulfill all of the great potential that everyone told me that I had, then it was something that I was going to have to actively do. And it wasn't just something that I was just going to stumble into, or wasn't just going to happen for me, or I was going to turn 26 and all of a sudden, nope, potential time. So
I love it. And that's funny. Like I said, I feel like everybody that has a similar path, and regardless of what it was that they were doing in terms of the dumb shit we're talking about, but that similar path, everybody has that little voice in the back of the head. So I was curious on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think deep down, everybody knows exactly what it is that they should be doing or they shouldn't be doing, and they ignore it. But the longer that you go against that, I think that's how people wind up feeling depressed or anxious all of the time, because you're going against your conscience and what it's telling you to do. You shouldn't be doing these things that you should be doing. You should be sticking to what you say you're going to do. You should be going to a gym. You should be getting up. You should be working towards something. You shouldn't be doing the drugs or drinking or running around partying or chasing women or whatever the case may be. You shouldn't be doing these things deep down. I think everyone does.
They do.
Yeah, see, that's like me. For example, I've never done dumb shit, so I really can't relate. Ha! Isn't that right, babe?
Did I hear a hell no?
Man, I'm glad that the dumb shit got out of the way at an early young age, man. And I think that's the thing. We talked about this the other day, being a young, focused hustler, and how greatly your future depends on that. Almost the sooner you can figure it out, the better. Some people figure it out a little bit too late, but if you can figure out early on, hey, it's all on me, and I have to hustle, and I got to go all in. I'm the only one accountable. The sooner you can figure that out, the better, because we all go through that phase.
Yeah, I think definitely the sooner you figure out in life, the better. But I also think, like, because I used to be somebody who thought that I had squandered my chance to be anything, like, because I made poor choices when I was younger. I thought, well, it's too late for me now. This is kind of just what it is. And I'm just destined to a life of middle of the road at best because I wasted all of these years, all of this time, all of these opportunities. And I think a lot of people have that view. And because of that view, they never do anything. But at the end of the day, no matter when you start, it's never too late to start. And it's easy to get caught up and think if I was younger and I had known this when I was younger, then it would have been better. But you learn things when you learn them. You learn things when you're meant to learn them. And thinking about what you should have done is never going to help you. All you can really focus on is what you can do. So if you knew this 10 years ago, yeah, amazing. Things would have been different. If you bought Bitcoin when it was a fraction of a cent, yeah, life would have been great, but you didn't. And that's the world that you live in now. But you can still make the most of that one just because you didn't make the most of the one prior.
Mm-hmm.
Agree 100%. No better time to start than right now. Absolutely. All right. So we're going to have a little bit more fun and we're going to get to know Jason Lamar a little bit more in depth as we jump into the oh, yeah. Are you ready for the huge 4 questions, baby?
Oh, all right. Let's do it.
All right. What's the one thing you wish you would have known when you began your career?
Which career?
Let's say your career in mindset coaching.
Honestly, I'm really happy with the way it's unfolded now. And I think that if I had any sort of different knowledge in my head at the very beginning, it wouldn't have gone the way it has right now, because I've talked about this before, but I was nervous to post on social media. The idea of me putting myself out there was very weird to me. And so I also didn't have any followers at all. So I was free to kind of just do what it was that I wanted and learn as I went without any sort of pressure of, oh, a bunch of people are going to see this and tell me that I'm an idiot and I should kill myself. So I kind of built it up slowly. So by the time I came to that point where people are telling me that I'm an idiot and I should kill myself, like, I don't care now because I've I've gone through the process. I realize that's what's come with it. So the way that this is unfolded, I'm happy with how it's unfolded. So I wouldn't change anything about it.
I love it. I love it. And that's funny that you say that, because I will never forget, and I'm sure you probably had a similar revelation at some point in time, but because I don't know if you followed me back on Instagram at all, but I'm a video guy too in the real estate space. And I remember doing a video and I was doing it like 100 times, like I could not get it right. Cause I was like, this person's going to think I sounded weird here, or I said the wrong thing here. And finally I just literally said, who the hell cares? Who cares? And then I just started posting every single day, motivational stuff. And I had people like buddies I grew up with, like, dude, you're a cornball now. This, this, whatever it was, like, and I just started not to give a shit about what anybody thought. I'm sure you had a very similar revelation at that point in time too.
Yeah, it's exactly the same, because I would get stuff and I just put up the videos and then randomly I get positive feedback for it. And then after a while, like, the more people you see it, the more negativity you're going to get. So as more people started to see it, I got some random person who said, I wish I could remember what they said, but they said something and I was like, well, that's not very nice. And I clicked on their profile. I was like, oh, I don't, you don't look like somebody whose opinion that I care about. And then it just wound up being more and more like that. And I came to realize that the only people who are going to take the time to tear you down are people who aren't happy with themselves and how they're living their life. It's never anybody who's doing something who wants to see you fall. It's just people who aren't doing anything with their own lives, or they're mad about something. Or there's a bunch of people who get upset that I say something about alcohol, for example. Like, that's a very big issue for people, apparently. I had no idea. I said it was bad for you, and apparently that's a controversial idea. But anyway, here we are. So I see all the people who say it. It's like, okay, well, I understand why it is you feel the need to get drunk every weekend. So I don't take it personally.
I love it. I love it, dude.
Yeah. The end of the day, just keep showing up and keep looking to help others and genuinely help others. And it takes a focus off of me and my message and what I think. We're so worried about what I'm going to look like or how I'm going to come across. Hey, but if I'm looking to genuinely help others with my message, it doesn't even matter. My whole mindset shifts.
Yeah, that's another great point, because I always look at it too, is the amount of positive comments that I get on something that I say, or the amount of people who will message me and be like, oh, you changed the way I look at things, and that's been really beneficial. Like, that's worth the trade-off for as many negative comments as people are going to put on there, because they're going to do their negative thing no matter what. But you affected at least one person's life positively, then you're doing something right.
No doubt.
Yes.
No doubt. The goal is to keep those negative guys around long enough that they start turning into positive comments.
Exactly. Yeah, I've had people do that too. It's like, I used to hate your stuff, but I watch more. It's like, I get where it is you're saying. I get where it is that you're coming from. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
All right. Number two. What was your biggest failure and what did you learn from it?
Biggest failure. I guess it depends on what you or quantify as a failure. I had an Okay, so a few years ago, I invested in a bunch of crypto. I put a bunch of money in it, and it was to hold for a while. So I was like, this is going to go down and it's not going to be a big deal. And then it started going down and I was like, oh, this is going down very low. And then that stressed me out a little bit and I sold more of it than I should have. And then it just all rebounded back up. So I think the biggest lesson that I took from that is only do things that you believe in. And whenever you start to question it, remember why it is that you got into it to begin with. So if you stick to your plan, things will generally work out how it is that they are, how you intend them to work out, as long as you're doing something that you truly believe in. Mm-hmm. So trusting yourself is a big part of that there.
Yeah. Which doubt can come in between that pretty quickly.
Yeah, you can't listen to the doubts. Also, that'll mess you up real quick.
What are the best resources that have helped you along the way?
Best resources? I think the best resources for me has been, I mean, the way I intentionally set it up was that just having like core principles and beliefs that you could kind of judge everything off of and gauge new information that you're getting of, does this align with something that I think, and kind of having that barometer to not get distracted by stuff too easily, or to remind myself when I think something is going wrong, no, that's okay, because it going this way still means that this is true, like whatever the case may be. So yeah, core principles and beliefs that you can stick to is the most helpful things for me.
Principles and beliefs you can stick to. I love that. I'm learning myself too. I'm sitting here taking notes myself. Like, okay, these are all things I can be better at times too. And that's the good thing about it too, is like, I'm sure you're the same way too. And I know Pete is, always learning, always growing, always being open to criticisms, always being open to doing things differently, doing things better. There's never an opportunity where you stop learning and stop growing.
Yeah, I think that's such a great mind frame to have, is to always be open to learning from stuff, because too many people get defensive about maybe being wrong about something, that they're unwilling to learn what is right. I say all the time that it's better to have your own ideas that you fully came to the conclusion on that you're wrong about, and be open-minded, than it is to be right about stuff that you don't know why you think and be closed-minded. Because there's so many people who's like, you might think this and you might be right, but you don't know why it is that you think it, and you're not open to other ideas. And eventually that's going to get you in trouble. You're going to get yourself tied to some sort of idea that's only going to hurt you.
100%.
Yeah, I had a quote once that said, "Be radically open-minded." Really, I mean, whether
1000%. That's a
be radically.
Yeah, it's a great life skill to be receptive to new information and perspectives. And I think a lot of people get caught up in having the same viewpoint that they've had since they were in high school or college or whatever, and they kind of base their entire world off of that. And it's limiting in itself, because you were 22, 25, whatever age you were. So you should always be taking in new information and reassessing stuff.
Absolutely. I will never forget, and this leads us into our next question too, for the last one on the huge four, is when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad for the first time. I remember reading that book and being like pissed at Robert Kiyosaki, like, you should tell me what my mom told me, my dad told me, that stuff's wrong. Like, what? You kidding me? That was one book I'll never forget. I was like pissed at this dude while I'm reading the book. I'm like, hey, this guy's telling me everything I've learned is wrong. It's bogus. With that being said, man, what are two books? I don't know if you're a reader or not, but what are two books that have inspired your success?
Oh man, The Slight Edge by, I don't remember the guy's name. Jeff Olson, maybe James Olson, something along the, something similar to that. Slight Edge, great book. Compound interest in life, and how small tasks done daily add up to give you big returns over time. That was probably what started my journey with everything that I'm doing now. Is okay, if I could just stick to these things every single day, and it'll just compound over time and get better. Because that was a brand new perspective to me, because I always thought that people who wound up in good positions were, I don't know, lucky in some sense, or they knew somebody or something kind of just worked out. But if that's the only difference, I'm like, well, I could change that. I could stick to these things every single day, and it's worked for me.
The Slight Edge. We've had The Slight Edge on here a couple times. That has been referenced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
great book.
Yep.
Second book.
Yeah, second book.
I like Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. It's a Stoic philosophy book, and a lot of my world views are based in Stoic philosophy. So it's another great addition. There's a bunch of them. It's the black one with the red bird on it. There's a bunch of different translations. It's like a 2,000-year-old book, so they're all different. But that one's the one I read the best.
Okay.
Excellent.
Love it.
All right. Are you ready for now? The rapid fire round.
Here for it.
All right. So you're going to come right off the top of the head. First thing that comes to the mind, Jason.
Got it.
What is your spirit animal?
Jaguar.
Oh, Jaguar.
Jaguar.
Okay.
Like
Why?
that.
Oh man, you know what? A few years ago, I saw a video of, it was a jaguar just in Africa, jumped into the water and came out with a dead crocodile. And I was like, whoa, that's amazing and impressive that it could do that. And ever since then, I've just thought jaguars were super awesome because that's a crazy thing to do. Like, I didn't know they were strong like that because, you know, crocodiles are armored and whatnot, and it's in the water. So he jumped into its habit. It was a big crocodile too. So
Crazy.
yeah.
A Jaguar. I love it. I love it. All right, these next two are pretty light. What's your favorite movie?
I don't know. I like The Matrix. I like Fight Club. I like Black Dynamite. Those are the three that came to my head right now. So one of those, I guess.
All right.
Top three. Love it. What about favorite food?
Pizza, probably. Love some pizza,
man.
or tacos, or sushi. I gave three again. My bad. I'm gonna stick with pizza.
Hey, give us top three every time, Jason. We don't care.
Good. All right. In the spare time you got, Jason, what do you do, man?
You know what? I don't have a lot of spare time since I've been doing this. I've kind of like committed most of my time to doing this, to try and talk to people, try to grow my business. And people think that that's boring, or I need some sort of break or balance or whatever, but I genuinely enjoy all of the things that I do in addition to them furthering my life. So yeah, so that's really what I got there. I don't have a great deal of free time, and I'm not really looking to make any.
Gotcha.
Focus
Family,
on the
kids.
business.
I have family. I don't make kids.
Gotcha. Just curious.
If you could have dinner with anyone, alive or dead, who would it be and why?
Ooh.
Love this.
Anyone alive? Or, you know what? I would like to have dinner with my dad. He's not dead per se, but he has Alzheimer's. He kind of just like exists in the world now. And the reason for that is because most of we had a rockier relationship when I was growing up. And then whenever I first started getting my life back together, he got diagnosed. And then when I got to a point that I was actually doing some shit, he's not around to like see it. So it'd be dope to be like, hey, I listened to your lessons. I learned a lot of my stuff. I realized I learned from him as when I was a kid as well. I didn't realize it when I was a child because I was too busy being an asshole. But looking back, I'm like, okay, I picked up on a lot of what it is that you were telling me. So it'd be cool to be able to say that.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Shout out to dad, man. And shout out to those dads who just feel like they're talking to no one sometimes. But if you keep repeating those messages over time, year over year, like you said, the slight edge, and those messages, they compound and they build over time. And those are life lessons you can't get out of a book. Those are lessons learned over a lifetime of a childhood. So that's very cool.
Yeah, 1,000%. It's stuff that I didn't even realize that I look back. I was like, oh, he's been telling me this my whole entire life, but I was too stubborn to listen. So even if you think they're not listening, it's there in the back of their mind. It'll come up when it's needed. So
Love it.
All right, next one. What is your go-to karaoke song?
I have never in my life done karaoke.
Oh man, I thought we were gonna get something. You got the mic ready and everything.
Never. Yeah, I have it for this. I've never in my life done karaoke. I'm not a good singer. I'm not sure too many people would enjoy me trying. So
There's a first time for everything. If you change your mind.
That's true. If I was to pick, it's a song by Life Jennings called "Stick Up Kid." That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay. Are you gonna
but I've never tried it, so I'm gonna make sure that's known.
There we go.
I think after our Christmas party, I actually have a new go-to karaoke song.
What's that?
Me and like 5 or 6 of our agents, we sung Colt 45 at our Christmas party.
Okay.
Our family Christmas party.
Yeah.
The Afro Man?
Yeah.
Explicit. No blurring out any words, nothing. Pete,
I
That's how
have
you gotta do it
the
sometimes. That
footage
was
somewhere. I do have the video of that. I may
That'd make a
post
good
that.
post.
he cut it off.
Colt 45 to zigzag, baby, that's all we need. Okay. What is something you fear, Jason, besides singing karaoke?
My biggest fear has always been waking up when I'm 80 years old and looking back on my life and thinking, man, I wish I had done everything different.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be one of the worst possible outcomes.
I agree.
Regrets. Yeah.
I agree. I think everybody can agree on that one.
Yeah.
I think you're doing pretty good at not having that reality though so far.
I appreciate it. That's the goal every day.
No doubt.
Make 80-year-old me proud.
Yep. All right, last one,
last
JP.
one. Last one. What is your greatest accomplishment?
I'd say my greatest accomplishment would be getting my life together and getting out of my own way enough to share it with other people so I can help them do the same thing. There's a Nipsey Hussle quote. I heard him say, I don't know if it's his quote, but the highest human act is to inspire. And I agree with that. So I think some of the best things that you could do is show other people that they can better their lives. And I think there are very few people who can say that they've made a real impact on other people in the world. So I think that's what more people should strive for, and more people should share their stories and what has helped them, because you never know who needs to hear it from you specifically.
And that is exactly why we are here, to motivate and inspire. Man, love that. So Jason Lamar, you can find him on Instagram at the Jason Lamar. Personal development, mindset training, coaching, nutrition. Any final thoughts, Jason, JP?
Your life is your own, your mind is your own, and as soon as you accept that and take control over both of those things, there is absolutely nowhere that you cannot go, or nothing that you cannot do.
I love it. I'm gonna be watching this podcast over a couple more times because, and I think anybody who's listening right now should be watching it over a couple more times and listening to exactly what he's saying, exactly the thoughts and the ideas that he's giving to you. Because, my gosh, man, you're just spitting fire out of your mouth like crazy. You just can't stop. But it's
I appreciate it.
Everything you're saying is the absolute truth, man. Like I said, I feel like I'm in a good spot, but I'm also still learning and growing the whole time. And you almost just opened my eyes up for shit that I could be doing better too. Like you may, you know what I mean? Like I 100%. I love this podcast. I think it was awesome having you on, Jason. And I definitely love watching all your stuff, man. I'm excited to see more of it and hear more of it.
I very much appreciate it. Always glad I could resonate.
It's that motivated mindset stuff. So like you said, listening to this over again, we all need that in various formats. We all have this fire in us, but it needs rekindled every single day. You got to stoke that fire. And whether it be from messages like this or reading or wherever you're getting your motivation from, very important to continue consuming that from folks that inspire, like my man at the Jason Lamar. So, hey, thank you, Jason Lamar. Thank you, JP for 3, John Pavlansky, myself, Pete Peterson. Thank you for watching and listening to the Dream Huge podcast. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share, and follow at the Jason Lamar on Instagram. And remember the rules: work hard, never give up, and dream huge. I know you got the shirt on, but let's at least see the guns up there.
We flexing here?
Huge,
okay, cool.
baby.
I got you.
All right. Have a great day, y'all. Thank you, Jason Lamar. Thank you, John Pavlansky.
Thank you for having me.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to the Dream Huge podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. For more inspiring content, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Dream Huge Realty and on TikTok at Dream Huge Inc. Until next time.